Creative Family Connections. I have this great team with me today. We're going to hear from all of them, so I'll introduce you as we get to their parts. And we also have a surrogate with us today, because I know that's part of all of this process. But let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. So I started my family as a single mother back in the early 90s, and that was unheard of, to become a single mother by choice. It was back when it was not done by the Hollywood stars. It was back before Rosie didn't do it yet. She actually cornered me, like, my brain about it. But the point is, that didn't stop me. You know, when I get my mind to something, it don't stop. And now it doesn't stop me to do it on behalf of and help other people do it. So a few years ago, I was in Paris meeting with prospective dads, and mostly dads, but other parents too, who wanted to do surrogacy. And it was when they were having the vote on same-sex marriage, and they were trying to bring that down. Far right, makes far right tame, was trying to bring down that vote by tying it to surrogacy. So they found out where I was staying, and they picketed the hotel, and then they started making violent threats, and so we had to move hotels. And then they sent in some reporters who were disguised as parents, and so all of a sudden the next day there was an article with a picture of the hotel. So the picketers were back, and then the violent threats started again, both against the hotel and against me. And so the phone rang, and the hotel said, "You got 10 minutes, pack your bags and leave." And so I left, and the rest of the day I felt like the fugitive. Like, I'd meet people on the street corner and like look them over, make sure they were legit. But the point is, it didn't stop me, because I'm really passionate about this. And so when I founded Creative Family Connections 14 years ago, the founding principle was because everyone can build a family. And that really is our working principle today. And so that the good news is now is that it's not unusual. It's not unusual to have single parents. It's not unusual to have same-sex couples, and that means that there's so many opportunities. I mean, all you have to do is look around and see all the opportunities here today, and that's a fantastic thing. But we continue to work. We continue to try to change the laws in the states, and we continue to try to push the courts. So that's just a really important thing. So let me tell you a little bit about who we are, not just about me. So Creative Family Connections is an integrated surrogacy agency, but also a law firm. And that lets us give you the best of both worlds. Because you get all the protections of a law firm. And it's something, as you're looking at all your options, you should ask about. What kind of privacy do you get? What kind of protections do you get in terms of your confidentiality? What about your money? Once you pay that first big chunk of money, what if something happens? I mean, stuff happens in this world. So what if you have to stop the process? Do you get any of your money back? With us, you do. We just earn a certain amount each month, but the rest of it's held in trust for you, and you would get a full refund of everything else that you do. But you should ask that question. You need to protect yourself. So over the 14 years, we've grown, and we've now had 350 babies, and like I say, they're all kinds of families, and that's just really fantastic. We just try to protect you. Our goal is to make your journey as happy as possible, as stress-free as possible, and at the same time legal and ethical. A client just wrote to me on Friday and was talking about a friend of his who was just at a journey and was having a really hard time of it. And I think part of it is he wanted to pick my brain for creative legal ideas, but also he was like, how do I know this won't happen to me? And so I said to him, well, let's look at our map. And I don't know, some of you may know our map, but we did the map that, we go to the next one. So this is the one for married same-sex couples. And you can find this on our website, but also at surrogacymap.com, and it's interactive on our map. And we've divided, there is no national surrogacy law, but it's state by state. And so this friend of his was in a red light state. Well, we're not going to put you in a state where surrogacy is a red light. Right now, New York, you'll see, is a red light state, but what matters is where your surrogate is. Now, I could spend a whole session just talking about that, and I'm not going to because you want to find out more about the process. But we worry about this so you don't. And I explained to them that we had matched them to a surrogate who's in a green light state, and we were going to be able to get them a parentage order and make sure that they were declared the parent, and then we would go to the hospital and get a hospital plan and make sure that everything was easy and stress-free, and even get them a room, et cetera, et cetera. And he wrote back and he goes, okay, thank you. This is why we came with you, and that's what we want. We want to take that weight off their shoulders. So we're constantly updating this. The biggest update we had was after the Supreme Court decision last year. It was really a thrill to switch Texas from a red light state to a green light state, and similarly Utah, because they have statutes that say a married couple can do surrogacy, and they probably never dreamt that they were going to have the same sex as married couple, but haha on them, right? So we love switching states to green light, and even in the yellow light states, some of these we can do. We just need to do it really carefully. You have to really, do it with a lawyer, and that's what we're here to do. We worry about it, so you don't. We're not going to let you do it. I mean, you're not buying a TV set. We just need to make sure that you're really well protected. And we need to make sure you have a surrogate that's just going to make your journey really happy. So we need to get our surrogate here. She was out directing traffic. Okay. And so anyway, so let me introduce the rest of my team who's here. So with me today are Ruthie David. Ruthie, why don't you come around front? Ruthie is the Senior Manager for Surrogate Recruiting and for Client Development. And Samara Hutchison is our Manager for Surrogate Recruiting. So they find these amazing women who serve as our surrogates. And that means disqualifying 98% of the women who apply, because we really want someone who's going to sail through the process and then just be a wonderful, wonderful experience for you. And we also have with us one of our surrogates who carried for a same-sex couple and is now starting a second journey for that couple.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What kind of screening do you do for?
That's what we want to tell you about. You have read our minds. We do an extremely rigorous screening. I would say we probably have the most rigorous screening of any surrogacy agency that exists. People always tell us that, and the doctors tell us that too, so that we work with. So thank you for that question. So yes, so with that, let me turn to it, and you can hear about our process, and then you can also hear from the surrogate's perspective what the journey is like. And we totally encourage you to have the best experience possible, and then we actually, if you work with the same surrogate again, we don't charge. Our rematch fee is 0, which is our way of encouraging you to have that most fantastic experience possible, and to let us get the most amazing surrogates possible. So yeah. So with that, let me turn it over to. Are you next? Yep. So Samara, and did you let Chelsea know she can? Sure. Here comes. This is Chelsea Hawk, who is one of our surrogates, and yeah. So, all right, I will move aside here and let you take the floor with that.
Thank you.
So,
great to see everyone today. So as we said, I am the Surrogate Recruiting Manager for Creative Family Connections. I do all of the recruiting and a lot of the screening for our surrogates. One important thing, one of the most important things when you're looking at surrogacy agencies and who to use is really what is their screening process for their surrogates. And like Diane said, we really do have one of the most stringent screening processes in the industry. We have approximately 200 applicants a month, and from there we disqualify 98% of them. Only 2% move on to become candidates with us. So part of that screening process is one of the very first things we do is we set up phone consults or Skype consults just to get to know them on a personal level immediately. If that feels good to us on a gut level, and if their application looks good, we then move on to the rest of our screening process. And one of the first things we do is we begin calling their references. We will speak to a family member, we will speak to a friend, and we will speak to a professional reference. We really love speaking with their mom if we can. Their mom always has a really great opinion of their children usually, but the moms are always the ones that are always very open to say if they didn't think that this would be something good for their daughter to do. And again, and if at any point during that reference process at all, even if two of those references seem great on paper, but one of them, we just got a feeling like, this is just off and it doesn't feel right to us, she's immediately disqualified from moving any further in our screening process. One of the other things we do is we have the surrogate give to her OBGYN what we call a doctor's form, and that doctor's form will go over her OBGYN history, and will answer some subjective questions about the surrogacy itself, and do you feel that she would be a good carrier for somebody, and we make sure that of course they answer yes on that. If they answer no, again, immediately disqualified from moving forward at all. We also, when all of those things look great, a member from our team right here at Creative Family Connections goes to meet the surrogate in her own home. No matter where she lives in the United States, we fly a member of our team to meet her and her family. Her spouse will be there, her significant other, her children are generally home too unless they're at school. And we want to look at the home and the neighborhood and be able to feel that we feel safe when we're there, and we want to walk away saying that we feel safe and that we feel that she is a great candidate. And also during the process, we collect her complete medical records, her OBGYN records, and whatever clinic you have chosen to work with, we will send those and the doctor's form from her OBGYN over to your clinic doctor and let them review it, just so that we can get like a preliminary approval from them and have your doctor say, yeah, she does look like a great candidate for them too. At the end, like we said, we have our golden rule, our golden standard is we only want women in our program that we would trust to carry our own baby if it was us. That is the number one important factor to us. And so that's the first thing that we're always thinking about. And of course, during this entire screening process that takes about 4 to 6 weeks, we are continuing those Skype consults and continuing those phone calls. I can tell you that I speak with all of our surrogates that are in the screening process at least once a week, generally 2 or 3 times a week. I'm emailing them almost daily, so that by the time they are through that screening process, I know them very, very well before they get to the point where they're being matched with any of our parents. So that being said, Ruthie's going to talk to you a little bit more about what what puts together a Creative Family Connection surrogate.
Great. Swap out with you.
Hi everyone, as I said, I'm Ruthie. I'm the Senior Manager for Surrogate Recruiting and Client Development at CFC. I want to quickly go over with you just the basic qualifying factors that every CFC surrogate would have to meet. But beyond that, I really want to get you a chance to meet Chelsea. So I'm going to kind of run through this list, and then I'm going to ask Chelsea to do a little mini interview and answer some questions so that you can get a real sense of really what does a Creative Family Connection surrogate look like. But the standards that all of our surrogates would have to meet: mother actively raising her own children, both because she has to have a proven healthy pregnancy history, and she has to have the psychological component of having raised a child herself. It can't be someone that's just had a baby and given it up for adoption because of the psychological component. Excellent health history, mental, physical, OBGYN history, as well as personal health history. Typically, our surrogates' age range is about 24 to 40. Could be a little bit lower or higher on either end of that range, but that's our typical range, about 24 to 40. Married or unmarried, but if she's unmarried, she has to have an excellent personal support network. Especially locally, she can move to a new area and not know anyone. She has to have people that are there and willing to help. Healthy height and weight ratio, not a smoker, doesn't live in a smoking environment. Typically, our surrogates are either stay-at-home moms or modest wage earners, financially stable and secure, not on government assistance, and at least a high school diploma. Now, about 30% of our surrogates are actually college graduates. About 60% have at least some college. And finally, just a strong desire to help others and enjoys being pregnant. And I think with that being said, because we're a little short on time, I want to get Chelsea up here, and I'm going to just ask her some questions and let her kind of give you a sense of who she really is. I'm going to switch sides with you so that you can get her here. So Chelsea, just first and foremost, why don't you move? I'm blocking the. I just want to ask you to give a little introduction about yourself.
Sure.
Like,
So
who are
hi,
you?
I'm Chelsea. I'm 25. I have 2 kids of my own, a 6 and a 4-year-old at home. I'm from DC, actually Maryland, but right by DC. And I started this process with CFC 2 years ago, and it was an amazing experience. I was matched with them, and the baby was born in February to a gay couple that lives in New York. And it's just been a fantastic experience the entire time.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about what made you want to be a surrogate in the first place? What was your driving
You know,
force?
I think that's probably the most common question that I've been asked through this entire process, and even having answered it so many times, I still feel like it's one of the most difficult to answer. I haven't come up with one definitive answer, because I don't think that there is one point in time where you say to yourself, hey, I want to be a surrogate. It is an ongoing thing. It is something that sort of builds as a desire in you. And for myself, I grew up with a very close family, a really great family, and I valued that so much. And then when I had my own kids, you know, knowing what it's like to be a mom and to be a parent, it's incredible. And to think to myself, to be able to give that to somebody else, that's the greatest gift that anybody can have. And I just, you know, thought that it would be wonderful to be able to give somebody else that, but also to experience helping somebody build that. And so that's sort of what planted that seed in me, and then made me want to, you know, look further into that.
Great. So can you tell us just a little bit about your match with your dads and how your relationship grew and how CFC supported you in your journey?
Sure, it's great, and I love CFC because it is such a personal connection that they make, and I worked with Ruthie in the beginning, and she helped to match me with a couple, and said, you know, these are who we think will be great for you, and they were a perfect match. We met, we spoke, and we kind of said, this feels right, this feels great, and sort of went from there. And CFC is there every step of the way and helped to facilitate the meetings. We met in person a couple times, and sort of went from there.
Great, excellent. And I guess as we're picking up, you want to just tell what it felt like? I know you expressed a little bit what it felt like when you saw the dads hold their baby the first time.
It's incredible. It's so much more than seeing somebody hold a baby. You're really seeing a family be born, and seeing somebody experience their family firsthand. And I know what that felt like when I saw my own children for the first time, and when I held my own children, but seeing that and witnessing that in another couple and in another family, words can't describe it. It's incredible.
We'll be happy to, we'll be outside and be happy to answer questions, but just as icing on the cake, I just want to tell you that Chelsea has agreed to carry again for this same couple, and so she's starting a second journey, which is just so amazing. And thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody.